Welcome to DieCastRestos. My name's Jason and this week I'm working on Majorette's Peugeot 604. This handsome looking model was produced between 1977 and 1983. The actual car was Peugeot's executive offering from 1975 to 1985. Today I'll be giving this a bit of a glow up with a new, more understated paint job and some wheels that appear similar to the GTI sets seen on later cars. There will be a few other touches along the way too. Although a little more deep set, the Porsche Campagnolo wheels share the same pattern as the stock Peugeot wheels, so we'll see how they look on the Majorette later on. When the model first appeared at number 238 in Series 200, it was painted either light or dark metallic green, sharing the same off-white interior and amber tinted transparency as this one, which remained throughout production. 1977 also saw the metallic dark red released, the same as mine. These ran until 1978, along with the dark metallic green issues. Other colours to appear in 1978 were golden green, flat red and flat blue. A duller light metallic green joined the series for 1979, as did a metallic blue which had white stripe tampos to the sides. The blue was toned down to a blue-grey for 1980, though it retained the white stripes. Then my personal favourite colour variation came out, black. I think it looks great on this casting. This lasted until 1981. Continuing into 1981 were the blue-grey models, now without the white side tampos. A metallic golden brown would be the final variation to arrive in 1981, the only colour to run into 1983. Since it had a tow hook, the 604 was a regular fixture in the Series 300, which teamed vehicles with trailers. It could be found with caravans or kayak trailers. Number 238 would not see a replacement until 1986, with the arrival of the Benetton liveried F1 racing car. The casting was a 1 in 60 scale replica of the real car, which represented Peugeot's first foray into the executive car segment since the 1930s. There had been a drive by Peugeot to re-enter this segment due to their perceived increased affluence of the French market. At the time, the mid-size 504 was the company's most expensive offering. From the 504, it inherited a damped, supple ride which offered good handling. It also borrowed its bulkhead, doors and part of the floor pan, though it did receive the new V6 PRV engine, co-developed with Renault and Volvo. It had a spacious passenger compartment that was easily accessed thanks to its unusually wide opening doors. The body was designed by Pininfarina and drew praise for its formal, handsome styling. Unveiled at the 1975 Geneva Motor Show, it was lavished with praise for its styling and handling, but despite this, it was a commercial failure. It had been introduced during the recession caused by the 1973 energy crisis, making it an inauspicious time to release a large, 6-cylinder upscale vehicle. Journalists also attributed its lack of interest to the car's conservative styling, lack of technical innovation, and issues with rust. It was priced at £4,785, around £400 higher than a BMW 520 or Citroën CX, and almost £1,500 more expensive than Ford's Granada. 36,000 were built in the first full year of sale, and in its 10-year production run, 153,000 were produced. This was 1/8 of the figures Citroën achieved with the CX. Peugeot still made a profit on each car due to its engineering and tooling being shared with the 504. They also had little success selling the car internationally. Peugeot did offer some detuned economy versions, but this did little to improve their fortunes. A turbo diesel was introduced in 1978, the first in Europe, and in 1979 it had some minor modifications, such as the round fuel filler cap being replaced with a square one. It then had a minor facelift in 1980, where the 604 bonnet badge was removed, the indicator lamps changed to orange, and it had a new plastic dashboard and gear stick. However, the year also saw the launch of the 504's replacement, the 505, causing 604 sales to dip further. The 604 GTI arrived in 1984 offering a new 2.8 litre PRV V6, but US sales of the car would end after this year. Production would cease in November 1985, after just 581 cars had been built that year. There would be no direct successor, though as a partial replacement, a V6 version of the 505 soon appeared. Peugeot would return to the executive segment with the front-wheel drive 605 in 1989. 124 long-wheelbase limousine versions of the 604 were produced by Ulier from 1978 to 1984. These cars had 2 additional movable seats. Anyway, now I'm using my recently found but quickly becoming one of my favourite techniques. Using headlight tint, I'm covering over the amber transparency to create a more subtle appearance. Turns out it's awfully difficult to film the film application. You will have seen that I have painted the previously plated metal base black, and for the body I've gone silver. I chose silver because, unlike the majority of Majorette's colour choices, most 604s were in silvers and greys, beiges and burgundies in reality. I also chose silver because it was one of the few colours that Majorette didn't produce this model in. If they didn't already produce a black version, I'd almost certainly have painted it so. As for these wheels, I'm really happy with their appearance, especially so with the chunky tyres they come with. I ran out of Tamiya TS90, so I couldn't give the interior a second coat. I thought that I'd try one of Highcoat's great value rattle cans instead, though this Rover russet brown came out a tad dark. To be honest, it better represents some of the interior trim options available at the time. Now it's time to detail the exterior, a tricky exercise when some of the trim is silver on silver. There's a base coat for the taillight clusters ready to accept colour later on. Then there's the headlights, which form part of the base casting that need filling in. For the silver on black French style registration plate, I chip away at the letters and digits to reveal the bare metal beneath. I really love this effect, especially on retro Majorette models. For the beltline trim, it won't show a great deal, but hopefully there will be a degree of differentiation between the paint and metal. Same for the door handles. After that's all done, I give it a clear coat prior to colouring those light fittings. The bumpers had chrome strips with a black rubber centre, so I'm drawing those on front and back. Next, I add a touch of shading to the textured cast headlights. Then I begin colour coordinating the light clusters. And again, I use Citadel Gloss Nuln Oil to beef those up. Lastly, the lighting receives a healthy dose of ammo wet effects to give them an extra glossy sheen. Here are the pieces that form the Peugeot. The first item to go in is the transparency, now coated in headlight tint film to disguise its amber origin. Then it's the engine, dashboard and grille piece, which we haven't talked about, but I think it's a great little addition with the opening bonnet. After the repainted interior has slotted in, I connect the base, which hooks together neatly at the front and is secured by a single drilled out and tapped rivet post to the rear, using a 3mm M2 laptop screw. So this was how my Majorette Peugeot 604 looked. It wasn't in terrible shape, to be honest, apart from the odd scratch here and there and its broken towing arm retainer. I needed to tidy that up, reduce the vibrancy of that amber transparency, and give it a fresh look with new paint, wheels and details. I aimed to give it an understated new look to match the real 604 Executive Saloon, and here is how it turned out. Now in a coat of gloss aluminium and with its chunky GTI lookalike wheels, this 604 looks understated but with slightly sporty credentials. The details are subtle, like the 604 badge on the bonnet, beltline and door handles all being taken back to bare metal and then clear coated. One of my favourite things about this era of Majorette are the registration plates, which always look good in black and then having the letters chipped away. The windows look far sleeker in that headlight tint, but perhaps the dark brown interior has made the cabin a bit too gloomy. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. The wipers also proved to be a bit of a challenge with the wrap. So far, I've only dealt with transparencies without moulded details on the outside, so this is a new challenge I had to try and overcome. And that about wraps up this build. Please like and subscribe, but all that leaves me to say is thanks for watching and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.